Hello and welcome to Devcast Ops. We are back from Boston from HashiConf 24. Some of us more recently than others, so if we're a little bit delirious, it's because we had a red-eye flight this morning. But we're back and we're going to talk about kind of some of the stuff that we did while we're out in Boston and sort of the things we saw, kind of interesting new bits that are coming out from Hashi, some of the releases that they announced while we were there. But also in the background, we're going to go through and do something that we probably should have done a while ago, but also now's a good time. We're going to do version updates.
To be fair, they've just released a new minor version. Yeah, major minor patch. They've just released a new minor version of all their tools. So even if we were up to date, there's now a new version of all their tools from HashiConf. So this is worth doing anyway.
Yeah, it's the perfect time for it. So we'll be doing that in the background. Let me send you live, and then people can watch us. Let's increment version number, hit pack a build, and wait. I guess, right. Where do we want to start off? So the conference, day one, infrastructure. Did either of you guys have like a favorite bit?
I'm surprised you're not starting 2 days before then with the boat and our flights and a little bit of just like what we did at the convention, more than just like let's talk about releases.
You want to go right from the beginning, the full experience.
You don't have to.
No, I'm down. Was it? So we flew out on the Sunday before. So the convention was sort of check-in opened Tuesday, and then check-in opened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday were sort of full days of talks. We landed Sunday, so it was a 7-hour flight for us from the UK.
I think it ended up being about 6.5, but yeah.
Yeah, and went straight to a hug, which for those of you that may not know is a HashiCorp user group event, and this one was on a boat.
It's the first hug on a boat. They were very.
It was their 10th hug anniversary as well. So
no, it was the 10th Hashi. It was the 10th HashiConf anniversary.
Yeah,
and hug, but he was also saying, "Oh yes," because he was saying this looks like a missed marketing opportunity. I mean, I'm not saying that on the boat. It's like we missed a marketing opportunity here. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so a hug on a harbour. For those of you, the way the hugs normally work is you have a couple of talks about Hashi products, and this one wasn't any different in the format apart from it was on a boat. So we had on
a very wet and rainy boat.
Yeah.
We definitely brought the UK weather with us for this one.
Yeah, I think the one was on AWS. I can't remember what the other one was on. There's so many talks that it's all sort of blurring into one.
Yeah, it was AWS CCM, and the first talk was on. I don't know. God, I feel bad now.
Was it Waypoint? Did you do anything with Waypoint?
I remember the guy, but I can't remember.
Yeah, me too.
It's a nice guy. Knew what he was talking about, but can't I for the life of me remember what it was. Anyway, we'll circle back when the memory kicks in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sat there, watched the sessions, and then sort of had some food while we were sort of floating around Boston Harbour, which is a nice way. So, and the rain did eventually clear up, so we could go onto the top deck and sort of get a good view of the city, which was nice.
It was still
get some nice pictures.
Blurry pictures.
No, I got some good ones, I think.
Really? You mean the ones of us, or just the one after?
There's a couple of the skyline which are okay.
Yeah, I got like that.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't see those.
Yeah, I think the picture of us was quite. No, that's not a blurry picture. From where I held the light.
Oh yes, yes. Sorry, it wasn't this one. No. This one was fine. There was just one where I saw after you uploaded it, it looked fine, and then I clicked on it, I was like, hold on, this is blurry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after the food, it was after the food that the talks happened, and after the talks, they let us socialize for a minute, and then we went back, and then people wanted to decide what they're doing after. Some of us just wanted to hit the bed, and some of us were forced to stay up. I
But
don't know.
we were sensible people and did jet lag correctly, and we stayed up till 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, you're just going to get screwed by jet lag.
Yeah, you fight through it day one, and then it's bearable for the rest of the trip. I think by the last day, I'd have got onto US schedule.
Yeah. I just know that like that whole socializing in the pub. Oh, no, actually, it's like a bar basically. You guys were busy talking and everything. I could barely keep up. My brain was gone. I was like, why am I still here? I tried to leave. They took me out of it. They're like, no, you better stay a little bit longer.
You stayed till 10. You did good.
But it turns out I still woke up at 2, and yeah, that was it. Couldn't sleep again after that.
I woke up at 7, so
I would blame anime for your not able to.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I guess that's the kind of the fun side of these events, sort of chatting to other people who are also passionate about it. And you get that, you don't have to necessarily go to the full HashiConf for that. There's Hashi Days, which are, I think, Europe and Australia, or I think they have one in APAC. I don't know if it's going to be fixed in Australia, but we'll see where it goes. And also, I think the hugs happen even more globally at a sort of smaller scale. So
Most regions have a hug in them, and if they don't have a hug in them, you person are welcome to start one, and Hashi will quite happily support to some amount with getting the hug set up and running. Okay, they want them to run as internationally as possible.
yeah, so we've helped host a couple in London, but someone else is in charge of it instead of us, and I'm happy to let them run that meetup.
So they're always in need of a location as an office. So if any of the viewers are interested in hosting a HashiConf user group, reach out to the person. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to mention his name, but if you're interested, just go onto the meetup page on Meetup itself, find a hug for London, and you see the person that's actually in charge, and you can reach out.
I imagine it's the same for most hugs globally. Like,
yeah, it's the same, but it's just different names, right? Because the name,
we should pin that in the YouTube video links. So if
I remember, that sounds like a good idea.
One of he's giving us homework. Okay. Okay, that's good. I like that.
You can make it like a GitHub action and then ignore it like the rest of them that we have.
So that was day.
That was day 1.
Well, it's kind of day -1, -2,
and
depending on what day you think like HashiConf starts.
I would say the Monday was day 0 because they opened. You could, as a member of the general public, you could go and get your pass, and there was a little thing on in the afternoon.
Yeah, and there was the certifications. So if you had booked a cert, that was the day to do it. It's only on the 4-hour Telephone Pro Vault Pros. That was the time to do them as a general member of the general public. We had backroom dealings with HashiConf on that day, which we're not allowed to talk about. But benefit of being a ambassador, and there was partner stuff going on as well.
Yeah, we kind of got involved in the award through work.
Yes, though none of us went to pick it up because the ambassador stuff was more interesting.
Just gonna lure them with secrets. So yeah, day 0 was us chatting and ambassador stuff. where we get to feedback some ideas to hopefully improve what's going on as people that use the products a lot. In theory, we should find the places where they don't work, and we've probably shown a couple of them on the stream where we've hit things like this could just be done a little bit better.
Yep. Or we've spent an hour just not realizing how to do something because the documentation or I mean, you half don't pay attention while streaming, but there's certainly a level where it's like, oh, I actually just don't understand what I'm doing, which is always fun.
They were attentive to all our desires, requests. They took notes, so hopefully by next year we'll get in that meeting. They'll be like, "You asked, and we answered." We can get that.
Oh, wow. Our vault was very behind. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love how you're just not reading the change log to see if any breaking changes or anything like that in there.
I actually looked at the change log, maybe not this far, but I have looked at the change log for these two products earlier today because I was curious if the raft improvement happened. But that's a day 2 thing they will announce, so we can talk about that later.
We're still on day 1.
Remember on client, we're still on day 0. I haven't got to day 1 yet. I remember on client side when I was doing upgrades, just having to meticulously read through change notes and upgrade processes to see if there was anything that would affect us majorly. Because if you're into a client that's got a very large deployment of one of these products and multiple application teams rely on it, that are providing services.
You're also jumping like 10 versions in one go or something stupid like that.
It wasn't 10 versions. It was 4. It went from 1. I think it was 1.7 to 1.10 on Vault.
Oh, okay.
1.7.
Only 3 minor versions.
But in the process, in those, I think there was a lot of change in those minor versions because they changed how the licensing worked. You used to, back in the day, if you're running the enterprise binaries, get distributed a binary with your license baked into it. Now they give you license keys instead, and the binaries just freeze download and just don't work without a correct key. And we were using console as a backend and something about the way console handled entries changed as well. So it was,
oh God,
we couldn't go straight. We had to like hop through like up a couple, do a few like patch versions to get across the point where it actually changed, and then hop the rest of the way.
Yeah.
It was a painful process, but we made it. But I guess anyway, back to Boston and day 1. Wally, do you want to lead us off with day 1 as you seem so keen to dive in earlier?
Oh, yeah, why not? Day 1, we just finished Monday. So day 1 being Tuesday, which was really focused on ILM, which is Infrastructure Lifecycle Management. And I mean, I guess this is the part where I'm more passionate about, I guess. So yeah, the first thing they spoke about, not in the order, but as I remember, I'm actually excited about this one, which is module lifecycle management, because now, assuming the organization you work for is on the latest Terraform or actually on TFC, you'll be able to archive modules now, or even disable older versions as well. So like people can only have maybe -3 version, the latest 3 versions of. So that'll be really nice. So I look forward to you being able to play with that. And then in regards to Nomad, the Nomad update, that was an interesting one because obviously that's graphics card related, and I am so into the graphics card world yet.
Would you like a brief summary of what that actually means, the graphics card one?
I can try, because I understand what it means. That like, okay, it means now when you have assuming you have a very strong graphics card, you can actually now allocate some resources from the graphics card to your jobs or something like that. Correct me if I misunderstood that part. Like, I guess you couldn't do that before.
So for VM, so for like machine learning usage or rendering, like high stuff that normally runs on CPU usages, you need a way of kind of passing through the GPU into your compute.
Yeah.
So on your VM, you need to be able to tell it, this is the graphics card, here are the drivers, this is the like connection. And then they've added two things. I think they GA'd that plugin for NVIDIA. And then they made it so in the resource block, you can ask, I need one GPU core, or I need half a GPU core, and kind of Nomad will then smart schedule based on that GPU stuff.
Exactly.
I love the idea of using one GPU core when a GPU core is tiny.
Well, it's for
CPU,
slot, yeah.
Yeah.
For a GPU, a CPU core, a CPU is 1,000 megahertz.
Yeah. Anyways, that one was, I think he spent a little time on that, but Karim actually did a hallway talk on this where he spoke about a 20 grand worth of GPU that I think he played with it even. I'm intrigued to see that game, but he didn't spin up anything to play. I mean, it was more of a talk than demo. Yeah, and then
CPU will be like one enterprise CPU.
Not CPU.
Yeah, sorry,
GPU.
one GPU. Yeah, a 20 grand GPU of worth GPU will be like one enterprise GPU.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then we were saying that, like, at the end, they said, "Oh, when you're playing with it and you have any feedback, or let us know how you get on with it." I'm like, the audience, like, it will be very little amount of people that will actually be able to play with this. But, moving on to the final update, which obviously I am excited about, which is Waypoint. Waypoint GA'd during the conference, and what GA'd mainly was, should I first talk about what Waypoint is? Or...
Yeah,
probably good.
Yeah. So what Waypoint is it's similar to Backstage. It's supposed, hopefully, it will be. Wait. It would be hopefully Backstage competitor soon.
You may want to define the Backstage is.
I was about to say.
God. What I'm trying to say
here's a tool you've probably not heard of. It's
Yeah.
the tool you've probably not heard of is.
So what a Waypoint is currently, it allows you to create templates, which then developers can go into and create applications from the template you create. So, for example, if you want to, this allows self-service basically. So developers can just go in there and say, "Oh, I need a VM with so-and-so installed." And you've already created a template with that for them, where they can obviously change some variables, such as the name, instance type, or whatever they might want in it. So that's one feature of Waypoint. Another feature.
What are the templates running? Is it Bash scripts?
They run anything, as in the templates can be anything, but the templates, sorry, I say anything. So with templates, it's actually based off a no-code module. So it's you have to create no-code module first, and then based off that, link your HCP Terraform with HCP, and then HCP will be able to pull down all the no-code modules, which you can then use as templates. And those templates are actual Terraform module, which could also include Bash scripts, assuming you're using user data to configure.
I didn't realize until someone asked the question what a no-code module actually meant.
Oh, is it not straightforward? Like,
hey, what is the difference between a no-code module and a normal module?
Tick a box.
No, it's in the no code module. The way you deploy no code module, you actually put in all the provider stuff in there
Yeah,
already.
that's the difference.
Yeah,
A no code ready module
yeah.
needs to have the provider blocks, which a normal
Oh,
module, it's
doesn't.
you shouldn't have the provider blocks.
So then, like, the person ingesting it can then, add their own provider stuff into it. Whereas the no code module, the main idea of that is that it's ready for you to use without any code. You just go into the self-service UI. I call that self-service UI. In this case, to the no code module itself, or you can use Waypoint with it. So back to Waypoint. So when you now use the template to deploy the application, from there, there's now a new feature, I guess, that also GA'd with it, which is add-ons. So with add-ons now, you can actually add stuff to your application, such as let's say you need an S3 bucket for your application, or you need secrets management for your secrets engine for your application. You can enable all of that through add-ons to your application itself. But the way I am currently using it within DevOps, actually within DevOps Playground, the way I wanted to use it is I used Waypoint to deploy containers in Nomad, but I want no, actually I use Waypoint to deploy the client and then another application to deploy the jobs. But what I actually want is one job or one application that deployed the client, and then maybe as a add-on you deploy the jobs. That would be ideal, but that's not the use case for it.
So
But
they've also added actions to Waypoint, which is to help with the day 2 stuff of like we deploy the same way that in like Terraform within Nomad, it's kind of a fire and forget. Whereas you can actually have an action that restarts the job. Hey, look, we spun up a box.
yay.
Did we rebuild our Packer image?
I have.
Did you update the channel?
So this is not the latest version. This has not got any of the version updates in it because I need to run Packer to be able to run GitHub, to be able to run a GitHub action that then runs Packer for the latest version. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Who wants to take over day 2?
I'm finished with day 1. You've got, I think, the bit that I'm probably see the most of is like Terraform stacks.
Oh yes. You know what? No, funny enough, part of the panel discussion I was part of, the stuff from Stacks was mentioned too, and the person next to me was very passionate about it. So yeah, how did I forget Terraform Stacks?
I think
Terraform Stacks was even the first and biggest one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that we do in bigger clients, stacks would be really useful because there's a lot of the stuff we do will be deploying multiple modules, and often the latter module will depend on the sort of first module finishing. And the way Terraform works, if you put loads of modules into one file, it just builds the dependency graph of all of them. It doesn't see a gate between the two. And the kind of what stacks does, it allows you to put like a hard gate between the two. So the example that they used for the demo was if you have a module that spins up your infra for a Kubernetes cluster, you can run that in the same stack as the module that then provisions stuff onto that Kubernetes cluster. Whereas previously,
hold on, James.
Yes.
Easy.
It's Can you hear my frantic typing?
Yeah, it's hard to like focus on what Barnaby's saying.
Sorry.
Yeah. So previously, when you're planning, if you try to do that in a single Terraform file, if you had the infra and the configuration in the same file, Terraform would go, I can't deal with this, because when it tried to instantiate the Kubernetes provider, it reaches out to the cluster and the cluster doesn't exist. So it allows you to kind of keep all the bits in one combined block for your deployment, but you don't have to but you can have it so there's a hard dependency on one finishing before the next.
But even within HashiWorld, like you can't deploy HCP Vault and set it up in the same, or even deploy and configure normal Vault because of the hard stop. You could actually run the Terraform for your Vault server and then do some manual stuff and then run the second one of configure your Vault server. So I think more HCP is probably going to be more useful, but having them linked is quite nice.
Yeah.
And I guess the final thing there's a few more things from day one. So we threw down the gauntlet in the escape room.
Sorry. Wait, are we done with the keynotes now?
I think so.
I don't think there's
the keynote.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's get to the juicy part. Come on, tell them.
Yeah, so part of the conference they had an escape room, and the way it worked, it had essentially you kind of capture the flag sort of thing.
Yeah, I think capture the flag style is kind of what they would call it.
Yeah, so you had instruct labs where you had to kind of go through, use your knowledge of the Hashi products to get clues, and they would tell you where about an object in the room, and you had to go and find the sort of key on that object. And if you got all of them, it allowed you to unlock a box. And this was timed, and us being not at all competitive.
I don't think we were.
Not for the first one, because there was no one else was on the leaderboard.
I don't
So
think
we
there was
just went in there
anyone.
just thinking, huh?
Yeah, when we first signed up, no one had completed either track. So there was a track.
Only
Infra.
two people had tried the infra. Like we were pretty early in on the day.
So we did the infra, and we were the only time.
And we smashed it.
Well, if no one else has finished, you're automatically number one.
Sorry, not to like derail us. Just while I'm like trying to fix something.
Yeah.
Look at this new feature in Vault. Just Vault KV. It tells you the path URL and what you need to type in for CRL to get your secrets out. That is such a nice quality of life.
They do a lot of stuff with I think the UI they focus on a lot because I think a lot of feedback they get is I want a nice UI to go through all of the sort of old like PAM tools that companies are used to are UI based.
Still no console backend button. But being a like viewer KV, and it's just because this is the stuff, certainly with KV2 stuff, where it's like data or metadata, people just don't.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, even here, you've got path, CLI, metadata.
Yeah. By the way, this is not new. It's not new, by the way, because when I was doing the Java Playground stuff, I was able to do it. I was able to use.
So this is new from 1.16. So this was on 1.16. I haven't seen this before.
Oh,
it may have been at 1.17x feature, but I haven't seen this before, and this is really cool. And I thought I'd get distracted while I'm failing to spin up GitLab on us because everything's a bit janky.
Yeah, I guess it's
secret.
Yeah, it's okay when you have just a single like path to your mount, but if you start having slashes in your mount, where that data goes gets real confusing real quick.
Yeah.
So that is nice.
Which we do. No, we don't. We have to our access. We've got slashes, but then I have the equivalent for OIDC and stuff.
Yeah,
carry on.
Yeah, so day one we put down a time for. I think I've actually done it on day 0 because they opened it on the social on the evening.
No.
So we did it. Did we do it at breakfast? We did it sort of the first slot that the escape room was open.
I think it was day 0. I think we did it that evening.
We got our names up on the board.
Yes, you're right. Because then someone decided to post on Slack that I'm running my mouth. People should come and challenge our time.
Yeah, you were smack talking
no-
other people at the conference.
No other ambassadors beat us. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, only because I was asked, "Oh, how's it going?" I was like, "Yeah," because you guys left me. I don't know where you guys went, so I was just going to check up on this leaderboard, and I met one of the organizers, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to make sure we're still number one." Before you know it, she told someone else, and that person now posted it on Slack saying that one is.
I was far too interested in what my position on the leaderboard was, and it's an escape room capture the flag thing. So there's no way of us doing it again.
Exactly.
Literally, we could have showed up right at the end to find out our score.
But then because of that, we got we got really big headed and decided let's go challenge the other one.
Which at the time
Wait,
when we did it, I think we were a minute clear.
We beat the team that was on the leaderboard by a minute.
Yeah.
And then on the final day, some Hashi employees beat us by 20 seconds.
Oh, they were employees.
There was 2 teams.
There was 2 teams that beat us. One team was the first team that beat us was employees that were like 20 seconds. And then a team of just like 2 guys that were just guests at the convention beat us by like a minute. Like, honestly, I don't think even if we were perfect, we could have got that time.
Nah, we could have, because we didn't copy and paste. We didn't do copy and paste.
Barnaby, your terminal skill is just not good enough.
Yeah, I didn't realize like because it was just that. I was like, oh my god.
I don't code under that kind of time pressure normally.
We need to practice our coding under pressure for next year.
Yeah. Oh god. But then afterwards, obviously, because even like he was typing out the path stuff, I'm like, but then he tried to copy finally, and that was fine.
It is fine. I think it's better off we didn't want both of them because they were actually having like a little bit of a crisis of what do they do.
Oh, 2 mugs, isn't it? It's fine. Oh, sorry.
Get the mug to hand.
Huh?
Get the mug to hand.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what focus lens.
Little HashiCorp branded mugs to keep coffee warm.
HashiCorp Ember mugs. This is why I need the better lens that autofocuses.
Yeah.
Nice gold as well to really show off first place.
Yeah. Pictures will follow shortly.
Don't get a golden jacket, but we get the golden mugs.
So you get a nice jacket. It's got a little ambassador jacket.
Ambassador jacket, yeah.
What?
Nice.
And I got an ambassador. I got an umbrella. Hey, HashiConf umbrella.
Yeah, with 82 written on it. Nice white letters.
Oh, God. Right. Was that on day one?
The last thing probably to talk about day one is there's the social that happens afterwards. So after a day of listening to talks, there is sort of a social that's thrown on by Hashi to kind of allow you to mingle a little bit more with some of the other people at the conference, maybe meet some of the speakers, come and talk to ambassadors as well. I think Armand was there. So if you wanted to chat to the CTO, yeah, it's nice. It was like bowling and pool and darts, of very British activities.
And throwing basketball as well.
There was a small little arcade that had like the basketball one.
We played Pac-Man competitively.
We did play 3-player Pac-Man.
And we won a round, so drew.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And then some of us ventured out to karaoke afterwards.
Yeah.
It seems to be a tradition from HashiConf.
Yes.
But before you venture to your karaoke, we had fun too. James and I were with 2 other HashiConf employees that we walked, instead of taking the Uber, we walked back to the hotel. But on our way, we decided to go into some fancy restaurant and grab ourselves something fancy. Like we had some fancy burger with milkshake. So
Fancy, like, you know, the place that they normally call Shake Shack, a fast food restaurant.
I was hungry, man. I needed that food.
Should get people in chat to vote on whether they think Shake Shack or karaoke is a better use of an evening.
I think the correct answer is Shake Shack, then karaoke.
Yeah, karaoke went through to midnight, so there probably would have been time for you to come and join.
My excuse or valid reason for not going karaoke was I wasn't 100% well. 1, 2, I needed to complete my presentation that I was planning on doing the next day, which, by the way, I ended up not doing because while I was eating, I was watching anime, and then as soon as I finished eating, I continued watching anime till like
So all this anime, you keep blaming anime for your problems. I don't.
We found
I'm
your
not really
kryptonite.
Yeah, it's just my weakness, man. But yeah, how was karaoke? What did we miss? Any videos we should be looking out for?
Oh, what happens at karaoke stays at karaoke.
I might have used it from 2 years ago, you know.
A great time. I guess the other thing that happened on day one is we did a little bit of talking. I did a podcast, which I think will be released at some point. It's going to be edited by someone else. It'll be much more professional than the live streams that we do at the moment. Yeah, and you were on a panel, weren't you, Ole?
Yes, I was on a panel. It was my first panel ever. Nervous as hell. Too much lighting. It was very professional. We had a small screen which helped with notes. So
this was like off in a corner, wasn't it? Just live stream.
It was in the main hall. Was it in the
main hall? Where the presenters were at the back?
No.
Were you up
so
on the
main hall on the stage, but then you know when you enter the main hall, if instead of going forward, if you just look to your left, you will see like a nice small setup there, and it's like a whole glass thing, so you can still see through. And yeah, that's
that's where the online hosts were for the event. So they had like people who were doing sort of like a voiceover and like in between talks for people watching online. They were based there, kind of like commentator room.
So. Yeah, and that's we had 45 minutes of that. They did ILM the first day, and second day was security. So I was part of the ILM part, which was fun and a nice learning curve for me as well. So yeah,
I guess day 2 you had your big moment. You got to talk.
So let's just say day 2, I didn't get to like go around the whole conference. I didn't do anything of such. I listened to the keynote, and after that, I attempted to write, but you guys distracted me by trying to get the robocars.
Robo Rally. So one of the other things they had on top of the escape room is they had a little they wrote Raspberry Pi powered robots, which you deployed Terraform code to, and it like when a certain amount of steps forward, turns left, turn right, kind of very simple commands. They had been dropped and messed with quite a lot, so they didn't particularly go straight. I think we spent about an hour and a half trying to do it, and then bumped our car into the wall, and all of the code we'd written failed. So we were like, great. And then someone else wanted to go, so we handed off the reins to someone else and went and did other things.
Yeah, all I hear is excuses.
If someone hadn't been watching anime, they could have been there to help.
Oh gosh, yeah, nah. While you guys were doing that, I was trying to put together my 3 slides. After that, what happened? We had lunch, and then pictures, ambassador pictures, and then it was time for me to present, which you guys kindly recorded as well. So the presentation itself wasn't so hard because it's something that I obviously wrote, The only nerve-wracking part of it was that I didn't feel like I was organized. Like there was no structure to my demo. I was just demoing as I go, basically. Oh yeah, by the way, there was this as well. There was that. Yeah. Anyways, that
But
was
you were like, for someone that was disorganized, you were pretty much perfectly to time.
Oh, do you know how I stopped? I didn't even fin- normally I'm meant to go back to the presentation and be like, here's my contact details, like everyone else did.
Yep.
But I just realized, hold on, after I mentioned traffic, I was like, oh shit, I've probably been talking for too long. Let me just stop there. And that's it, guys. Any
And
questions?
it was pretty much like perfectly your time. At that
Really?
point.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
great today.
I
That
was
was
like,
great. I thought I'd be
start,
talking
like,
forever.
I was like, do I signal you? You're almost at time, but no, you were like, honestly,
Oh,
you were pretty much within like 5 minutes of the time you needed to.
Well, at least I got everything I wanted to say in, but I was just like, I don't want to. I feel it's, you know what, 15 minutes. I thought it would be too long, but it was deeper because if I wasn't worried about time, I could have gone on forever. It was just the fact that I didn't.
The benefit of talking about stuff you're interested in.
Yeah. And then I didn't want to show too much code as well because I don't know if everyone is into that as well. So
Yeah.
it's weird when you don't know your audience like that. Now I realize, like the meetup that we do, which is the Dev Playground, we kind of have an idea what our target audience is, so it makes it easier. Whereas
The
this
thing
one,
about not showing code is certainly if your code's accessible to anyone. I don't know if your code is. I don't know how like accessible that code is, but it's still like if you're interested in the code, here's a repo, go look at it.
yeah, unfortunately, it's not that well. I mean, it's all right written, but it needs refactoring before it can be published. It can be published.
It is funny though because most of the talks it's like here's a thing I've thought about and I've made some code to show that off, and we're going to talk about it. Whereas yours like, hey, I've made a production level thing, and I'm going to talk to you about it and show you what I've built.
Yeah.
Just hide the code in the background.
And if you go for that, I actually spun up a big instance as well. But yeah, let's just hope GL is happy about it.
You burning through your AWS credits.
No. Remember, this is all sponsored by our company. Yeah.
Okay, that's now.
But yeah, that aside, after the talk, I was more relaxed. So I was able to like have more fun. The next thing I wanted to do was go straight to the escape room and see that we're still number one. Sadly, getting there, finding out that we've been kicked out of our first spot for security was a bit hurtful, but I had to console myself with the fact that we're still first with infrastructure and nobody could beat us there. So
I guess looping back round a little bit. So your talk was good. We should probably also talk about some of the keynote stuff was announced.
Oh, on the second day?
Yeah, day 2,
Yeah.
keynote.
But
they did announce some things.
Security side.
They did.
There's a lot of stuff for Vault kind of around the radar side and sorts of Vault secrets of the HCP offerings of Vault. It's kind of
that
a
was
dry.
like their only Vault announcements, really.
Yeah, I think they're trying to improve visibility of secrets across your estate, and it's a lot easier to do from HCP, or a lot easier to get people to start using an HCP.
They probably have the issue as well that Vault has got so much like focus on it that one, it just gets updated throughout the year quite a lot. Like Vault is probably one of the most updated tools. And two, like there's just not that much like flashy things. The big flashy thing they did for Vault wasn't a Vault update, it was a Raft update, but they sold it as a Vault update, which is the pre-vote, is that what they called it?
Yeah.
Which just talk about, I think it's really cool. It's one of those like under the hood changes, but before this update, if anytime a node joins the cluster, it triggers a vote. which means if you have a completely happy to the user node cluster, one of the servers leaves and rejoins that's not the leader, the entire cluster goes down for a split second. Doesn't matter for most use cases. If you're a bank or someone with millions of transactions a second going through Vault, it really matters. So this should make Vault more stable, and it makes the update process better as well, because it will just trigger one vote. If you're sensible in the order in which you update the Vault servers, you'll only ever trigger one re-election. So you should only notice the blip once, which is good.
Yeah, I think the other stuff they're trying to do is, if with like the Vault Radar, if it essentially tracks what secrets you have in Vault and then tells you if they're leaked anywhere within your estate. So if you can point to GitHub, your Git repositories, your Confluence, and see where they are. And I think if it's in Git, it will like give you the commit ID of when it went there. Are
we brave enough to click the button and turn it on?
I'm trying to think if we've pushed any secrets. We probably have at some point.
I certainly won't. I certainly won't show it like directly, but you literally go into Vault Beta and then go get started.
Failed.
Of course it failed. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't understand why that. I don't know why that pop-up keeps happening. Is this gonna work now? There we go. It takes a second to like turn it on for the project. You can currently only have one Vault Radar per project, which makes sense because you get 50 repos for free per project.
I was just going to ask about pricing, but you just mentioned
it is free for 50 repos. More than that is contact us.
Yeah, and while it's so most things while they're in beta will be free, regardless of whether they're destined to be enterprise or not, because they want as many people to go out and play with it and test it, so they have the sort of thorough beta test.
That makes sense. Because funny enough, I've been using Waypoint, but I didn't actually pay attention whether I was being charged or not.
I think Waypoint will always be free, because under the hood it deploys Terraform resources, and those are charged.
If you read, this is out of context right now, but if you go back to the Slack channel, the talk with someone from Hashi, it seems like we want to discuss the pricing model.
Oh, yeah.
For HCP Packer, Waypoint, and Terraform Cloud products. So yeah, I don't think it will be free.
Let's wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on, yeah.
Yeah. It would be nice though. But the Packer one, do you guys agree with the Packer one? Where someone said ideally they would like to, as a HCP Packer, to actually also host the images as well.
Yes, this is I suppose something that people were talking about on the product on the Ambassador Day. One of the things that came up, which I think is makes sense, because most people, that's how they think of Packer. Is they think when you're running HTTP Packer, the same with HTTP Vault, HTTP Console, it's a lot more of a managed service. Whereas currently HTTP Packer is just kind of a metadata store. Whereas certainly for like Docker images or container images, sorry, having the ability to build and store the images in Packer makes sense, and having the runs run in Packer, so you're giving Packer access to your system, not other things, makes sense. It is a lot more complicated than the rest. It's very different to what the rest the Hashi tools are. So it's not very aligned with what they do as a company.
I feel like it's almost building a whole new product in to get that there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, I agree there as well. But my thing was like, if I'm gonna use HCP, I don't want to have to go elsewhere as well for storing it. So
I guess it doesn't. The bit that I care about if I'm building an AMI or sort of a VM image is just being able to pull the data from it. So from the sort of workflows that we use, we'll use Packer to build something, and then instead of referencing where it's built and stored, we reference we can call the Packer data block, and then that will redirect us to the image. So you kind of get that workflow with Packer as it is, but I can see why people would maybe want it stored in Packer, but functionally it doesn't make a huge difference.
I think as an image store, so like GitHub, like Docker images, because I think Vagrant will store some of the stuff for Vagrant, like Vagrant Hub, whatever it's called. So that maybe links to the Docker stuff. But I don't. Did they announce? Oh, they for Packer they announced the extra metadata, which can we actually see?
You might be able to.
Yes, all of this is new. So this is the stuff they announced for Packer and the build options as well.
That's weird. I checked. When did it? I checked yesterday, and I didn't see this in my.
You might need to trigger a build.
No.
Yeah, when did you make the build?
Ooh, so it has to be a new. Yeah, I did trigger a new build because I updated the Nomad version. So yeah, I'll do it again and see.
You're going to test out those GPU features.
Do you have 20 grand for me?
No.
No, this is. They've like changed some of the actions, and it may be that it was in beta and we just had access, and now it's in GA.
Oh, the bucket situation with Packer. So ideally, I wanted to do 2 different buckets. I wanted 1 bucket for client, 1 bucket for server, but it's not working out because the way you set it up when you're actually running Packer build, because you just give it 1 bucket, you can't give it multiple buckets. So then now I was forced to now move everything into 1 bucket, but then now I have within that Nomad bucket, and I have Nomad client and Nomad server. But ideally, that wasn't what I wanted to do initially. But yeah, just something.
Yeah, I don't know how that. Obviously, we use Packer for our client. At some point, we're going to want it for our servers, and doing the same thing, having 1 bucket. So I don't know how that will work. Does it show up as 2 different versions, or does it show up as?
No. So now you go into the version, then you now see the 2 different titles.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you click on 10.
Yeah. So within here, you can see the 2 builds.
Exactly. Yeah. So then it will be client and server.
So that you then have split by channels of like client channel, server channel, and then you go.
Nah, there's no need for that. No, because you can still grab it separately, anyways.
But if you wanted, so the way we use Packer to change what client gets run, we just change the latest on live. But that will then pick up everything in V8 or everything in V10, client and server. But if you wanted to be able to tag it differently, you can have 1 channel for client, 1 channel for server, and then then you can change what the active version for whatever is based on the channels version.
Okay, I think that actually makes more sense. Yeah, I like that. I'll try and implement that. To be honest with you, it's part of my next task, anyways. To be a what do you call it? HCP Packer expert.
Well, fingers crossed. This is the last update, and everything's going to have updated. We only have a couple minutes left. Is there any?
But I was just going to say, maybe did we miss anything from?
I think there's one big thing that we missed that I would really recommend people going and trying, because we've had a chance to play around with it before, and now you guys can play around with it. Boundary now does transparent sessions, and it is in public beta. And we've had to mess around with it where we've essentially got it that we have an inventory file that just has host names in it, or names of sort of FQDNs. is for what we want our estate to be. We can tear down all of our infrastructure, spin it back up with Terraform, and then Terraform will also create aliases for those new servers in Boundary for us. And then as long as we log on to the Boundary client locally, we can just SSH and then give the FQDN and get into that box if we have the right permissions in Boundary. Or the really nice thing for us is we could just run Ansible again and it would pick it up. We didn't need to worry about dynamic inventory or anything, and giving it credit. Resolved.
It also works with like websites. So we can have this defined in the host file, and Boundary will, oh, you want to talk to Nomad? Here's one of your Nomad boxes. You can even do basic load balancing with it.
Did that work for you?
Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Because that's how so issue with transparent sessions. If you have anything else that messes with your DNS, it's a little bit OP. We use Cloudflare Warp to connect to our servers because it's a pretty old school VPN. It does SSL. It does UDP and TCP. Boundary doesn't work with UDP, so it doesn't work with games. And because of that, it breaks. So we probably won't be using transparent sessions for a while until we sort out our UDP problems. But Boundary transparent sessions is a game changer in the way Boundary works.
Yeah. And while I was doing my deving a lot, like, you spin up so many instances in a day, like sometimes 20, depending on how crazy you are. And imagine every time you need to SSH onto it, you're having to be like, what's the new IP address for this one? But whereas with the session stuff, I have an alias and that's it. I didn't have to worry about anything anymore. The only issue actually I did run into a thing is, so let's assume I SSH into Funny Panda, that's as an alias, and then I terminate it, and then I say I want to SSH to Funny Panda again. So the IP address has changed. So in the known file, now the Funny Panda name and the IP address has changed. So I'm still having to go into that file manually to now remove that entry so you can re-add it. So I think that part needs to be fixed.
There is another way of getting around that, but yeah, you can just set you can set it to ignore that. I don't know if actually we do that within our code. Oh, that's code I was messing with before. Oops, should close that. Within our inventory.
I should have mentioned that during the feedback session.
Yeah, Ansible host key checking. We'll just turn that off.
No. I didn't have that with Ansible. Sorry, I didn't have that issue with Ansible. As I said, I was.
Oh, with just pure SSH. Yeah.
You can pass a flag to SSH to ignore the keys.
Yeah. That's all.
Checking.
That's all this does. That's all this line does. Is just pass a flag.
I guess something to mention that I know when we were running it, it doesn't work on Linux. And I
doesn't work on Linux.
Oh, I got it to work on Linux.
You got Nomad. You got Boundary to work on Linux with Ansible. It wasn't transparent sessions.
It was. Ish. By using
you built an Ansible plugin.
Yeah. Ansible connection plugin, yes. And then it worked.
It's very different from transparent sessions.
It's very different from transparent sessions.
Boy, I was able to use the aliases.
Yeah. Using aliases.
Yeah. And I racked up a lot of bills from that.
They changed the way it's being billed since then.
Yeah, that was pre-billing changes.
That was fun.
Is there anything else we want to chat about? I think that was the majority of. I'm sure we've forgotten some things.
No. It's bedtime.
Everything's updated.
Yeah.
At some point, I should probably talk you through the weird stuff I've set up now with all this, but that's fine. Next week, we should be at a point where we can get Console Connect set up.
Yay.
We are a bash script away from getting Console Connect set up.
And hopefully one day, James is going to show us online a great diagram of all this stuff.
This isn't hot, like this is just standard Hashi stuff. Like
Yeah.
I can pull up the recommended diagrams if you want. Like I've not done anything that Hashi haven't like put diagrams up for.
It doesn't matter. Like we still need a diagram because we've deployed a few things. We need to see how they all link together, right?
Yeah.
We did build one of our diagrams for how the server works.
Barnaby, we never finished. We spent most of that session without James talking about what tool we're gonna use, and then finally decided on the tool, and then because
We got one diagram. Couldn't build all of them.
it wasn't complete. I don't think it was complete.
We definitely need to build some diagram with some high level blocks. But like I am a big fan of. I don't know what the solution looks like until I've finished. So building a diagram at the start is a waste of time. Now we are probably at a point where we can build a diagram. I think going forward, we're going to make some big changes in the way some of this stuff works, which will cause a diagram to edit, but this is probably a good time to make some diagrams.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something for you to go learn, how to create diagrams before you start a project. So you can plan your projects well, okay?
This is whiteboarding. It's different from diagrams.
That requires me to know what the solution is going to look like. And that's not how I work.
Don't worry, man. I'm jazzed. Like the project I just wrote, I couldn't tell you what the diagram looked like now, even. So
I rewrite so much code. It's really inefficient. And that's what diagrams help with, is kind of knowing how it can connect together. But
yeah.
Anyway, should we call it a stream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good to catch up about HashiConf, and maybe next time you guys will come and see us out there. Or probably Hashi Days is turning up next, and there's normally one in London that we go to.
Amsterdam. Yay.
You want to go to Amsterdam again?
Yeah, it was a good venue. I learned a lot. Met a lot of people.
It was an expensive venue from what I've heard, but everyone I've heard from Hashi really misses the fact they used to do it.
Yeah, it was right.
Maybe someday.
In any case, thank you for watching, everyone. Follow us on Twitch, like and subscribe on YouTube, ring that bell to get notified when we release a video, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.